Hello, I'm Sonia Wood from Oikos, and I'm going to be sharing with you the LLATL Blue Book, Learning Language Arts Through Literature Blue Book. This is a complete phonics teaching to read program, all here in this pack. It's really exciting because it's actually a fun way to teach your children to read. It doesn't have to be overwhelming because there's a parent book to accompany it, telling you day by day what you need to do and what little letters you take out. There's a pack in here with all the extras. Let me open it up for you and I will show you what you get with your blue book and how it actually works. So inside your blue book pack, first of all, you have this wraparound, which just shows you what is contained within the program. But I'm going to show you now what that is. Piece of card you can get your child to make a poster with. See? Right, you're going to get your student book and you will get a material pack with the various different cards in it, letter cards. You will also get your bridge readers, your long vowel readers, your short vowel readers, 2 packs of those, and this one, your parent book. Let me start by showing you the parent book. You will see at the beginning of the parent book, we obviously got the introduction, and it's going to show you how to use the book and how the book is divided up and what it is delivering and how it is going to help you as a parent to accomplish this mission of teaching your child to read. So now we begin with day 1, and it's going to tell you in this little block here what you're accomplishing in this particular lesson. Day 1, step 1, and then it gives you instruction on what to do. Step 2, and so on. And so you're just going to read that. There's very little preparation beforehand that is required. It may be a page you're going to read to give yourself, the parent, an idea of what you need to do and in which way the lesson is going to progress. You'll see here on the very next page, it's actually instructing you which little letter cards to take out to be able to be instructing your child in this reading program. I'll give you an example of that. I showed you previously that you get a material pack, and in this material pack you are going to get the various cards with the different letters, and that's different colors as well. So when your parent book says to you, take out the blue card with the H on it, you will be able to do so. These are obviously all going to be cut out, which can be either an activity exercise you do or one of the older children do, or you help your child who's learning to read to do it. So I'm just flipping through this to give you an idea of what's contained in this material pack. Now you don't have to worry about when and how to use this because your parent manual is going to instruct you. You see here even there's little blocks so that you can make little dice out of the letters, which is quite an important part of the LLATL program. Parents do concern themselves with, how do I know which is the best way to teach my child? Which method do I use to teach my child to read? Do I use the sight and see and say, or the phonic, or which one? They're not sure which one is going to be the most successful. And so why we love this LLATL program, why thousands of parents have used it and many children have been taught to read with only this program, is because it is so comprehensive. Also because it's had Ruth Beechek, who's a specialist in this field, have her input. And so what they've done very cleverly is they've combined all the different methods and methodology of teaching a child to read. And so they're not focusing on one specific method only. It's a combination which works. Clearly it works because even children that have had tremendous struggle with learning to read, the result has been successful. The child is reading after going through this program. On that topic, I want to point out again here in your parent book that it says part 1, day 1, lesson 1, day 2, day 3. I want you to be careful not to let this book rule you or govern you as to what to do on exactly day 4. See, it says here day 4, but that might be day 8 in your life, and it might be day 2. It's all dependent on the individual student and how they're progressing through the program. I'm not sure that there's much more I can show you with this parent book other than to give you the assurance and confidence that it's all here for you, guiding you each step of the way. What is also helpful in the parent book is you will see on the side margin here materials needed. And we are now beginning this book on day 1. Right at the very start of the book, it's going to tell you need the book Who Took the Farmer's Hat. So now that might be a question, where is Who Took the Farmer's Hat? Let me show you. I've just shown you the parent book, and now here I have what else is contained in the package, and that is the student book, the materials pack with all the cards that I showed you, these little short vowel readers, the long vowel readers, and the bridge books. Now you'll also notice on the website that there's a list of individually titled books, and they are sold separately. They're not part of this actual package, which can be confusing, because now listed below the blue book are all these readers, and they actually are in this order on the site and through the program as well. Who Took the Farmer's Hat, Goodnight Moon, Ferdinand, Caps for Sale, and so on. Now these are listed separately purely because of the fact that you can actually purchase these individually, or you possibly have one already at your home. For an example, Peter Rabbit is a favorite one, and sometimes you've already got this book from your own childhood. And so we have listed these separately on the website to purchase separately. However, they are essential part of the program, in that you've just seen on the parent book that the very first book that you needed to read to your child for teaching them to read is this book, Who Took the Farmer's Hat? So day one requires you to read that little story to your child. So please note that you are going to read the story to your child. This isn't your child's reader. Okay, this is the parent's book to read the little story to the child. However, once your child has advanced through the reading program and is perhaps at yellow reader level, they will then be able to read these little books that you got for you to teach them with when you were doing the blue book. Now they will be able to read the book themselves. So they are all classics, and it might be a costly outlay to start with your blue set and all these readers, but they are for life. So it's part of your personal home library as a home educator. I also want to point out that the order that these appear on the website, being Who Took the Farmer's Hat, Goodnight Moon, The Story of Ferdinand, Caps for Sale, The Snowy Day, Bedtime for Francis, The Little House, Old Hat, New Hat, Make Way for Ducklings, Blueberries for Sale, Mark Mulligan and His Steam Shovel. This was our son's favorite. I've read this book so many hundreds of times. The Runaway Bunny, and Peter Rabbit, a well-known and loved little story. All of those books are going to be called upon while you are working through your parent book. Just as I showed you here on day one, the first thing you needed to do was read the story Who Took the Farmer's Hat to your child. The next thing you need to do is going to be instructed to you throughout the program which cards to take out, as I have explained previously. Now I want to share with you the student book and how that works. I'm just going to flip through it so you can see very quickly that the student book is very much a workbook for the student, whereby it is extremely interactive. They are going to possibly be cutting this book to pieces because there's a lot of activities in here which I'll show you in a moment, which you have to remove from the book. And this is why we have spiral bound this book for you, because the pages will be removed. The red student book and the blue student book are the only two LLATL books that are spiral bound for the student. All the rest are glue bound. We can't change that because that is the request of the actual suppliers, the authors and developers of the program. They need it done that way, so we need to do it as they request. So you'll see here now in this instance, it's showing you the child's going to cut along this little line and make up a little book themselves. They're going to create their own little book, and then they're going to put the pictures in the correct sequence. So now the child's learning about sequencing. And here, this little story, they're going to cut those out and put them on little popsicle sticks and do like a little puppet show and retell the story that is pertaining to the lessons. Can you see so far there's no actual workbook where they're having to sit and fill in things other than beginning to teach them to write, as is illustrated here. So it's very, very fun and interactive, and we want you to focus on keeping it that way. The journey to learning to read needs to be fun. It mustn't be stressful, and you definitely don't want to have tears over it. I just want to stop here for this moment to show you something about the writing. And that is, there are writing exercises all the way through this student book. If I flip through quickly, you'll see those pages come up here and there, and they're starting to learn to write sentences and so on. Now let me continue with this blue book and show you what it has to offer. Here, a child is starting to learn to write little sentences. So you see, very soon on in the program, they've actually started to be engaged in the whole literature experience, writing and reading. I'm going to get to the reading in a moment. I'm just going to hop all the way to here quickly and show you the importance of these read aloud books. Here's Caps for Sale, and this is another story that you, one of those extra readers, that you are going to read to your child. And then when you're finished reading, there are going to be activities pertaining to that story. Here's one of the such activities with all the little caps that the child is going to have an activity to do which relates to the story. Now you might wonder, what is that activity? That is going to be well explained for you in the parent book. Remember, I've shown you that the parent book is giving you day-by-day instructions. So it'll instruct you, read Caps for Sale, and then it'll instruct you further on what activity to do with your child. It'll even tell you, go to the student book, page 63, and get your student to do the following activity and how to do it. So as you can see, this is a nice big student book now, very interactive. And by the time we've finished with this book, there's not going to be much left of it. It's going to be in pieces. There's going to be little stories that have been illustrated. The children are going to write their own little stories, illustrate their own little stories. And by the whole time this is happening, you are at the same time teaching them to read. Here's an example of illustrating their own little story. There's the little story, and they're going to put their own little pictures in it. So it's teaching a child much more than just teaching them to read. And that is why this is such a wonderful program, because it's so interactive and there's so much more to it and so incredibly comprehensive. And I hope that the most important thing about it is it's fun and that you all enjoy it. Let me show you what happens in the first few weeks of this program. Your little child is going to have a set of their very own readers, and they're going to start right in the very beginning of the program, and they're going to start reading. And here's their first little reader. And as you can see, there are only 3 or 4 words on each page. And your child's going to read their own little book. And then they will move on to the next book. In the back of the student book, you have this chart. And the student, as they finish reading their little book, they're going to cut that picture out of the back cover of their book, and they're going to stick that particular little story here. Here's an example. Nat ran, Anne ran. That's the little story they read. They cut that out of here and they put it on their little chart. And so this becomes their reading chart. By the time you finish this entire program, they've read all these little stories. Starting with these little short vowel readers, and there's 10 of them. And then they move on to the next set of readers and the next set of readers. So there's a lot of readers here for your student to read, which are all contained within the set. And then there's all those picture books for you to read to them. I also want to show you how we put these books together. I did tell you in a previous clip that we actually publish all the books here and create them at Oikos. And these little books are stitched. It might be interesting for your child to see how their books are actually made here at Oikos before they get put into the package to come to you. So there you have it, your LLATL program. And all the bits. As you know, the resources from Oikos are Christian-based, and I'm sure you've already gathered that although this is also Christian-based, it does have that basis to it. There's a lot of variety of literature contained within it. It's not, in other words, it's not only Christian-based and everything from the Bible. It does have the variety of literature beyond that. And as I've said, everything that you need is contained right here in this reading program. You don't need anything extra in the way of resources to teach your child to read. You do, however, need crayons and scissors and sticky tape and glue and those things naturally to get through the hands-on activity student book. So all that's left to say is that I hope you do find this as successful as so many thousands others have done. It is really worthwhile. I know for sure that it is, because we have educated and taught children to read, even those that only came to us when they were in their young adult years and couldn't actually read English. And we have taught them to read English from the Blue Book program. So I know that it has helped for children with special needs regarding very specific learning struggles. It's helped those that are not particularly keen on languages, even though they have the abilities. It's just been fantastic. It is really, really in every way fantastic according to our experience and so many others. I come back to the mom who wrote to me to tell me that she's got 4 sons and they just love LLATL. In fact, she sends me pictures of the exciting journey that they're on with LLATL, because before she was doing pieces from all over the place, and she's just found this all this contained in one package has been excellent for her. And that's just one. I mean, there's many, many more test me's as such. So I really hope that that has given you enough explanation as to how it all works and shown you enough of the program for you to be as excited about it as we are. And so I really do hope that you enjoy the teaching your child to read journey. Thank you for watching. Bye.